Wally West might be my favorite superhero of all time. I say might because there are a few that are so hard to choose from. I'm a huge fan of Dick Grayson. Nothing makes me feel more warm and fuzzy than reading a Superman comic, unless it's written by Brian Michael Bendis. And I'm one of the few Guy Gardner fans in the multiverse. There's like tens of us. But Wally is a truly special character in the DC universe. And for some reason, DC seems to hate Wally West more than Eobard Thawne hates Barry Allen. So today I want to look at why Wally West is so important and why DC needs to understand why Wally matters. It all started in 2009 when Geoff Johns released The Flash Rebirth. Back in 2005, Johns released the highly praised series Green Lantern Rebirth, which put the Silver Age Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, back into the spotlight after years of mistreatment. In this series, Johns tried to recapture what made himself, and plenty of other fans, fall in love with the character so much growing up, bringing Green Lantern back to his roots. At the time, Hal Jordan had killed half the Green Lantern Corps, became the villain Parallax, and almost started an entire crisis. It was a weird direction for the character, so Johns worked his magic and made Hal Jordan the hero he once was. So in The Flash Rebirth, Johns tried to do the exact same thing with Barry Allen, the Silver Age Flash. You see, Barry died to save the entire universe from the Anti-Monitor in Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985. Ever since then, Wally West, the former Kid Flash, took up the mantle of the Flash. Throughout these years, Wally looked up to Barry as the hero who sacrificed himself to save the rest of the universe. This challenged Wally to work harder and harder, eventually making him the fastest man alive. But because the only people that can stay dead in comics are the Waynes, the Parkers, and Jason Todd, oh wait, of course DC had to bring back Barry Allen at some point. I mean, they didn't, but they did anyway. So The Flash Rebirth was all about bringing Barry Allen back into the DC universe. Although I love this story, and Johns would go on to write many more great Barry Allen stories in the future, I still wish Barry would have stayed dead. See, The Flash Rebirth had this unintended side effect of taking the spotlight away from Wally West. While Barry was the main Flash, Wally was sort of in limbo. So you'd think with Wally basically being written off, it couldn't get much worse, right? So moving into the New 52 reboot, The Flash was in a pretty bad spot. A lot of the stories were pretty good, and Francis Manapul's art was incredible, but Barry Allen is just not an interesting character. I don't care what you say, Barry Allen is just not as interesting as Wally West. Half the point of Barry's character is that he's an uninteresting 1950s cardboard cutout. So now that Barry Allen was the Flash, he started popping up everywhere. The Flash CW show, the DCEU, and even the anime movies all started using Barry Allen as the Flash. In fact, Barry is so uninteresting that they basically changed his character to be more like Wally West. In Geoff Johns' Justice League run, which started at the beginning in the New 52, his Barry Allen cracks enough jokes that you'd think he's Wally West. The Flash show also kind of does this. And why? Because Barry isn't that great of a character. I think he works way better as someone who Wally aspired to be. He served as a reminder to the whole DC universe of what it meant to be a hero. So skip ahead to 2014, and DC had a great idea. You know, maybe Wally West is a good character, and we should reintroduce him into the New 52. Sounds great. You'd think that would be a good idea. Except whoever the hell we got in the New 52 was not Wally West. No, literally, he was later retconned to be Wallace West, because he was so out of character and had nothing to do with the original Wally West. The New 52 introduced Wally as a kid again, ignoring all of the legacy the character used to have. Even worse, they made him an inner-city kid stereotype that was a hothead and only added unnecessary drama to the book. Eventually, the character would come into his own, but he still wasn't the Wally West everyone knew and loved. Flash forward to 2016 when Geoff Johns kicked off DC Rebirth, which is basically taking the heart of the previous Rebirth stories and applying it to the entire DC universe, bringing back the love and the legacy of these characters. And DC Rebirth finally reintroduced the proper Wally West back into the DC universe. So what did DC do with him? They gave him his own book, right? They didn't give him his own book. Besides a few cameos in the Flash book, Wally was mostly relegated to the Titan series, where he was a member of a team instead of the lead. Alright, so at least Wally is alive again. It can't get that much worse, right? Skip ahead a few years of Wally doing basically nothing in DC Rebirth, and Heroes in Crisis happens. Oh boy, does Heroes in Crisis happen. In this story, which admittedly isn't finished yet, Tom King not only kills off Wally, he presumably makes him a mass murderer before doing so. And of course, a whole bunch of other heroes had to die, including Roy Harper. This whole storyline is a mess. I mean, we have Harley Quinn literally taking down the Trinity by herself. Superman even implies that she's as good a fighter as Batman? I honestly don't know who's killed more Titans at this point, Superboy Prime or Tom King. All this mistreatment, then glimmer of hope, then mistreatment, has been a real shame because I honestly think Wally West is one of DC's most important characters. Wally represents what makes DC stand out from all the other comic book companies. Legacy. Legacy characters are a trademark of DC superheroes, and the Flashes are the perfect example of that. There's not just one Flash. The mantle gets passed down when the time comes. The first Flash, Jay Garrick, grew old and eventually Barry Allen took up the mantle. Then Wally West became the Flash when Barry died, and then Bart Allen, who's Barry's grandson from the future, took up the mantle when Wally had to retire to take care of his kids. They call the Flashes the Flash family because they really feel like a family. You see this concept of legacy all throughout DC Comics. The Justice Society of America, the original superhero team, the original, like these guys were literally the first all the way back in 1940, eventually passed the duty on to the Justice League of America. There's a whole bunch of Robins, and a whole lot of hard opinions on which one is the best. Then there's heroes with family ties that pass their mantle on to the next generation, and then there's heroes that inspire others to become heroes. And Wally West is the perfect example of this. Character progression is rare in comics because they're always in the second act. We know the beginning, and we know there's never going to be an end. But to see Wally evolve from Kid Flash all the way to Wally having his own speedster kids really epitomizes why I love DC Comics. Not only that, but Wally teaches us that we can be better heroes. When he first started out, Wally was a lot more hot-headed. He was kind of a jerk who wasn't loved by everyone in the superhero community. And you get to see Wally slowly but surely mature into becoming a hero worthy of the same name as Barry Allen. Back when Barry was a hero, he had an understanding with his villains, the Rogues, who were bank robbers, but they never put innocent lives in danger if they didn't have to. Wally didn't have the same understanding at the start, but he grew to understand the Rogues and treat them more like people than criminals. We see this side of Wally in the Justice League Unlimited episode, Flash and Substance.
Here's the deal, buddy. Tell me where those guys went, and I promise to come see you in the hospital. We'll play darts. The soft kind.
Okay. They're gonna ambush you at the Flash Museum.
See? That's all we needed. Dude, as soon as you finish your drink, turn yourself in.
Got me again, Flash.
Not only that, but Wally represents a whole lost generation of superheroes, the new Teen Titans. Wally isn't the only Titan to get mistreated since the New 52. I already mentioned that Roy Harper /Speedy /Arsenal /Red Arrow /whatever he goes by now got killed off in Heroes in Crisis, along with plenty of other characters that no one at DC is going to care enough to bring back any time in the near future. Garth was on the Titans book, but is rarely ever an Aquaman. Starfire's had so many personality rewrites in the last few years that I'm not even sure who her character is anymore. Plus, she's stuck on the Teen Titans with a new wave of heroes instead of with her friends on the Titans. Nightwing got shot in the head, got amnesia, and now goes by Rick Grayson. Come on, doesn't that just sound like a joke? And they basically erased the legacy of the Titans that do get focused on. The New 52 tried to make Cyborg a member of the Justice League, which would work great if he grew up from the Teen Titans and was respected enough to earn a spot on the team, but no. DC tried to make it seem like he was on the Justice League since day one and erased his entire history with the Teen Titans. Wally West is one of DC's greatest heroes. He really embodies everything that makes DC so special, and it's really a shame that he's gone through years of limbo and character assassination. DC needs to realize that Wally West not only needs the spotlight, but he needs his own book. If Batman can have 700 different titles, you'd think it'd be okay for there to be 2 Flash titles in the stands. Wally West has saved so many lives in the history of the DC universe, and now it's time for someone to save Wally.